So, so, so one question that I have is: we are not taught to be contemplative, especially if you are a data scientist, or in this age of data where you need to do storytelling, right? You're not taught to be contemplative. The second thing is, uh, you know, uh, frankly, very few people understand aesthetics, right? So when you are talking about storytelling, there's a sense of color, there's a sense of feeling, there's a sense of emotion, and you're not taught that so easily, right? So therefore, how important is that? And if I were an engineer developing a mobile app, okay, I think there'll be a user's journey that will be there. There's a story there. But most importantly, what I also realize is, when you're doing the UI UX design, this how will what's the story that the hero will take away. And therefore, this thing around contemplativeness, the thing around aesthetics, as much as the hard facts, how do you really marry them? And I think it requires a certain sense of practice that you need to start building. Don't you think so? Is that not very important?
It is definitely, Swami. And aesthetics, I may have a slightly differing point of view. I'll come to that, but contemplation incredibly important, right? And I keep telling people that um, don't be working on the analysis and the data till all the time, right? You can do, to no end. You can keep analyzing, but ever so often step back and think, and actually physically take yourself out of the situation, if possible without your smartphone, right? Go on a walk, go on a cycle ride, take showers, whatever works for you. And sometimes I actually, when I before I go, I've done this, on cycle rides. Well, I'll give my mind a problem that, I'm getting stuck on this piece I'm writing, I don't know what to do. And that's it. And then I'm thinking, and then nothing comes, and suddenly, while I take a turn, something will strike, right?
Mm,
So you'll surprise yourself. So I highly recommend any reflection practice that works for you. People talk about meditation. I'm not gone there yet. I wish. I think. And although they say in meditation you should not be thinking anything, so but yeah, I think any contemplation practice, whether it is through a combination of exercise or whatever, you should do. um, Aesthetic is interesting, right? That can get a little tricky if some people say, but I don't have an aesthetic sense. And my response to them is that, yeah, fair enough. Like, even I'm not like a uh, visually gifted person, right? So I would not, if you look at the clothes that I wear or whatever, people will be like, you're very dull and boring, and that's fine. But what you should use visuals for, definitely, whether or not you are aesthetically gifted, is for clarity. And I think there's a lot is easy to learn. It's almost like a science. So what does that mean? That means that when you're showcasing something,
mm,
whether it is on a slide, whether it is, even on an email, if you are putting too much information at one go, you are putting a lot of cognitive load on the audience, right? And
mm,
a lot of the time, design is, of course, about, what color will go with what else, but more importantly, it's about simplicity. There is this famous line that I can't, remember now, but it's the true, the hallmark of a good design is when, not when there's anything more to be added, but when there's nothing left to be removed
mm.
from there, right?
Okay.
So you have to keep removing stuff that does not add value. Remove clutter. And it might go down to, as a basic thing, as saying, on charts, if you've got a column chart, right? Think of a column chart, and you've got numbers on top of those column charts, right? You've got a revenue growth or whatever. Now, often that chart will also have the grid lines at the back, and it will have a scale with numbers. Now, the grid lines and the scale don't add any value in that chart, because I'm seeing the numbers directly. I don't need the remove that. You may have an unnecessary placement of, border. You can remove that. So remove any item that doesn't add any value. That's step one. That's like a easy low hanging fruit. More importantly, the second step most people don't do, which is use the principle of visual hierarchy.
Mm,
And this is a design principle, and this is a very easy to learn design principle. You don't have to become a aesthetic artist or whatever, right? Visual hierarchy is just this: in your um, any document. It may be a poster, it may be an email, it may be a slide, of course. Identify that what is your core message. Of course, your slide should have a clear message on the top. And then to demonstrate that message, what are the 3 to 5 elements that need to be highlighted on that slide?
Mm.
Ideally not more than that. Highlight those in your company's brand color, right? Don't worry about saying what color format. No, your company has a brand color, take that brand color and highlight that. Everything else, here is the easiest solution for you. Don't scratch your brain. Use the color gray, right? So if you've got a chart, for example, that shows your company's growth by region across time, and say, let's say you've got 4 regions and you've got 3 years, so 4 into 3, 12, you'll have 12 bars, and that'll be it'll be quite crowded. um, let me make it a little more complicated, right? So instead of 4, you've got 7 regions, so 7 into 3, 21 bars, so suddenly you've got 21 data points. That's quite a bit. But your message on the top says that we have seen strong growth overall driven by region A and B, semicolon. However, F is a concern. So now you've got 3 things to highlight: A, B, and F. What do you do with the rest? You keep them on the slide, but you use shades of the color gray to push them to the back. And this will mean a little extra work because Excel will automatically give multiple colors to everything, right? A little extra work in that formatting of the slide, but it will save the audience's time in making it much faster for them to, because their eyes will directly go to the A, B, and F. And so what they saw on the top, they can with a in a fraction of a second they can quickly see that, got it, okay, A is going up, B is going up, F is coming down. Okay, why is it happening? Maybe the next slide we'll talk about it. So that's visual hierarchy, right? So you can, why is it called hierarchy? Because some things are like visually, it's almost like a 3D thing. One is ahead and the other is in the background. And anybody can do that, right? And you will see examples of that all around you. Just start looking at apps that you use.
Mm.
You will find that more often than not, unnecessary things are pushed to the back with the color gray. Websites, everywhere people add advertisements, so people use this. It's not and it's definitely not rocket science, and that's something that even if you are not quote unquote a design person or a aesthetically gifted person, it's something that you can